Hello and welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel once a week. It chooses the horror film and they discuss it. Today we're talking about 1991's Child's Play 3, which was directed by Jack Bender, your co-host Alec.
I'm Eric.
And this is a new wheel, new episode, new year, new everything, Eric. Welcome back. How you doing?
I'm loving this wheel, dude. I'm loving the feel of this wheel. We have everything. We have 80s, we have 90s, we have 2000s, we have movies that we should have done in the past, but they weren't streaming like 28 days later. We got Sandra Bullock movies, we got Julia Roberts movies. Let's freaking go.
Yeah, I'm so surprised we haven't done Halloween H2O yet. Like, that's crazy.
It feels
So,
weird doing it this time of year, but it's funny. That's when I first saw it. So we'll get into that when we talk that one. But like, yeah, how have we not done H2O? I agree.
we've been doing this 5 years now almost. And yeah, we've covered some of the worst Halloweens. We haven't covered that one. So, anyways, we'll get to that. But today we're covering Child's Play 3, which is honestly overdue as well, Eric. This is overdue
I'd
for
say so.
us.
When's the last time we did Child's Play? Was it last year? The second one?
Yeah, so we did the first one in our original 31 episodes. So we did that. Then we did Curse of Chucky, which is the sixth one, which I was excited to show you. Then we did Child's Play 2 last year, which is an animated episode on YouTube. So if you want to go see that episode, it's fully animated. You can check that out. And now, Child's Play 3.
Which came out like less than a year after the second one because they were like kind of doing both at once or something. I heard the director shitting on this one.
Dude, everybody shits on this movie. This is kind of universally the worst one.
I'd agree. Yeah.
You haven't seen all of them.
No, but from what I've seen, this is the fourth one I've seen recently, and this is pretty bad.
This is okay. All right, yeah, we have so much to talk about, but yeah, this one was made exactly like you just said. I think 10 months later from the second one. Second one was good. Like we both really liked that one. First, second, we've got a franchise getting set up here. The thing is, though, this one came out in 91, very rushed production, and it literally felt like this is the end of the slasher, years. Like the early 90s is kind of when people are getting tired of it. Like Freddy's done, Jason's done, Michael Myers is pretty much done until 97, kind of. I guess he comes back in 95 or whatever. But for the most part, until Scream comes, this is kind of a dying subgenre, the slasher genre, and this series didn't really get its footing until it was a little too late.
I agree with that a lot. And I feel like there's a little Chucky fatigue coming out so close after the second one. So it's just like, yeah, I think the studios knew it was a dying subgenre for sure.
I just feel like if Child's Play 1 came out in like 85, and then Child's Play 2 came out in like 87, and then there was an 88 and 89, and this was like the fifth Child's Play came out in 91, they might have done better in the 80s, but by this point, I don't know.
Also,
And
this is a time leap. It goes from the second one, which came out 10 months ago, to Andy being like 6 or 7 or whatever, however old he is, 10, to now he's like an adult almost. He's in the military school.
yeah.
So it jumps ahead like what, 8 years, 5 years?
So this one takes place in 98, actually. So it was released in 91, but it takes place in 98.
Right,
You know,
and new Andy. Obviously, this isn't the same kid because it's such a time leap. And I think that wasn't the best strategy, but it worked. It was a good way to say like, hey, like there's other movies like this. It felt like Full Metal Jacket at times. There was like scenes where there's a ton of other movies that came out around this time that had this kind of military school vibe to it too.
I mean, I guess like Dead Poet Society, kind of. That wasn't a military school. That was like a prep school.
Yeah, but
But
like that kind of movie, with like
yeah.
good-looking young kids in the school, and yeah, shit goes down.
Well, dude, that was the thing. I couldn't think of any horror movie that's taken place at a military school before. So like, I thought the idea of it taking place there like was interesting and made sense, but it was boring. Like
What
it
else
just
would you have done instead of a military school? Like what else would you have done Charlie doing? I mean
Charlie.
Andy, what I say?
Well,
Chucky, Andy, it all mixes
I,
together. Sorry.
I was gonna ask you that too, because like I think the time jump was bad, but I don't know if maybe the actor was I don't know why they didn't just decide to do like a trilogy of him as a kid. I really don't know. I was thinking like they could have sent him to like a summer camp for like juvenile delinquents or something like that, but then I was like, well, that would just be Friday the 13th with Chucky, So I don't know where they could have sent this kid because they already did foster homes in part two, and there's only so many places a kid can go until he's 18. So I don't
Also,
know.
being a foster parent and seeing like constant, like, why is he being sent back? And it's like, because people die. It's like, I don't want this kid. Like,
Well, I think that's the point. Like after the second one, so much shit's gone down with this kid, and they can't prove this doll's doing it, so he's just gone. But the thing is, do you remember at the end of part two, his like not stepsister, his foster sister is still alive. So what the hell happened to her? She's just like, well, Andy, figure it out, and just like left him.
I think that they just moved on from her, and she was a great character.
This franchise is terrible at that, man. I know we've mentioned it before, but the mom got the shaft. Her character just got completely
So is
shafted.
she still in a mental asylum at this point or whatever? Like,
Yeah, I
where is
think so.
she? And after all this happened, like, like here's the funny thing. We made the joke about the second one feeling a lot like Terminator. Imagine this one is like, yeah, he's like John Connor. He's in a foster home again, but
Yeah.
he's older. He breaks his mom out. And then I'd be like calling James Cameron, like, dude, like you're copying Chucky.
Yeah, no, actually, I mean, I know that is just Terminator 2, but that would have been so sick. He goes and breaks. He's like, my mom's not crazy. He's
Well,
back,
that
and
would
he's
be
like,
such a great plot because he knows,
dude.
and his mom knows that it's real and no one else believes him, but it's also going against literally Cyberdyne or whatever the good guys company is. And it's like two people that know the truth fighting the man. And that would be, I would have rather have seen that in the history of Chucky.
100%, dude. He's 16. He goes to the mental asylum, breaks his mom out, and like, whatever happens, Chucky's still chasing him and shit. But this one, I don't know. I thought it was original having it take place in the military academy, but once they got there, I was like, this sucks.
It is also a cop out, not a cop out, but like it's a way to control the budget because it's one location, everyone's in the same costume. It's a simple way to just do a movie, honestly.
Yeah, no, that's true. That is true. Yeah, everybody's wearing the same uniforms, and yeah, yeah. This took place in Missouri. They filmed it. It's all like middle of America. So the other thing, really quick, and then we'll get into the plot a little bit. But the reason that this movie also did not do well is it came out, I think, within a week or 2 weeks of Nightmare on Elm Street Part Six. So Nightmare on Elm Street Part Six came out like right before this. They're like, we're killing Freddy Krueger off, and then this movie comes out like right after, and everyone's just like.
Yeah, before we get into the plot, let me just run through the stats. This came out August 30th, 1991. So the end of summer when people are busy getting back to school. It's not a good movie time in my opinion. Its runtime is exactly an hour and 30 minutes, which is how I like them, Alec. Its budget was 13 million and it made 21 million, so it made something back after
Yeah.
marketing and stuff. Not a lot, but enough to say, okay, I think we need to pump the brakes on the Chucky movies. Rotten Critic score was 19%, which is not good. And the Rotten Audience score, surprisingly, was 40% for this movie, which means people still love Chuck.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this movie made money because they took such a big like if it did make enough for them to justify a sequel, they would have just put it straight to D or VHS, but it lay dormant until 98. So they were like,
I
yeah, we're
think they
we're
were killing a lot of birds with one stone. They had the other film already done. They had all the special effects still done, probably all the dolls. They had the same actor play the head of the CEO of Good Guys or whatever.
yeah.
So they were literally killing two birds with one stone. So ultimately, dude, I do think this movie didn't flop. It didn't flop. It made money, and I think they just got an extra buck from it.
Yeah, yeah, barely, but a little bit. Well, that's probably one of my favorite things about this movie is yes, the CEO of the Good Guys Factory or whatever from or the first or for the second movie, Mr. Sullivan, they brought the same actor and they kind of continue that little subplot of just like, we know this doll's a killer, but it's been so many years, we're gonna bring it back, sort of thing. And they even say things like, listen, our Good Guys dolls were more successful than like the next five things combined. We need money.
It's
So
insane.
they,
It's like if Hasbro had Mr. Potato Head and then there's a choking hazard with the ears, but it was like the most successful toy ever. It's like we have to bring Mr. Potato Head back, but like make the ears bigger. And like that's kind of the idea what they want to do. It's like we have to bring this toy back regardless if it is a killer. It's so messed up.
well, the other thing that's funny is like they have this detailed dossier on Andy Barclay. They're like, we know where he is, we know where he's staying. Nobody's gonna remember Andy Barclay. It's just like, why do you have all this information on him? This is I mean, I guess 98, but still, you're not going to have a full internet printout of like where this orphan is.
If
A
you remember
private.
the second one, Chucky kills someone just to get to the file in the car.
Yeah, yeah,
Remember?
yeah,
And this
yeah.
one, they kind of do the same thing where he goes on the computer and like he finds the file on Andy. It's like, oh, here, rinse and repeat, dude.
I know. It's so ridiculous. And like they don't even show how Chucky gets from wherever this Play Pal facility is all the way to Missouri to this military academy. Like he needs to be having somebody helping him, dude. How is he going to put himself into a package and deliver himself? Like
That's what he
whatever.
did. That's what he did. And
I know, and that's insane. We need to see how the fuck that's possible. Anyways, yeah, so the scene starts off, the movie starts off basically with what we just said. There's this, the company having this discussion about bringing the good guy dolls back. It's been 8 years, so they talk about the time jump, and everybody's like, all right, yeah, let's do it. Okay, whatever. But the thing is, the thing that brings Chucky back, the opening of the movie, is them picking up his corpse from the second movie where he like explodes or whatever, and they drag his body over a vat of plastic or whatever, and it gets into the plastic. Now, here's the fucking thing, dude. You're not going to have a working, plastic machine where they're mixing the plastic when the building was destroyed. And then they're picking up with like a crane, they're picking up the debris and stuff like that. Why would you have a working plastic machine that you're planning on using in this facility that's destroyed? And then also not be like, hey, you know what? We should probably drag the corpse not on top of our product because anything, not just blood, anything could get into this and it could ruin everything.
It's like they're using the solidified plastic, heating it up again and using it again.
It just seems, dude, like if there was an
It's
incident in a
ridiculous. It's a
factory,
ridiculous scene. It's
they're gonna
ridiculous.
get rid of everything in that factory. They're not gonna be like, well, we could like use this plastic and we should heat it up now while the factory is still destroyed. Like that would just, it was so stupid. But that's how Chucky gets brought back. The blood drips on the plastic and somehow it only possesses one doll. Like, wouldn't you think it would possess like 50 dolls or something like that?
All the dolls at that point, whatever
Yeah.
that plastic vat has, it should be hundreds of dolls, thousands of dolls. Who the hell knows how much plastic? But that's another thing. Like, it's like, do the alien to aliens thing with it. It's like, instead of calling it Chucky, just call it Chucky's.
Yeah. Well, I will say this, part seven, they do have like 50 Chucky dolls. So they do kind of do this idea in a future one, but this one, I think because of budget restraints, they just it's just one
Makes
doll.
sense. Makes sense. I'm sure that was an idea.
Oh no, definitely was. Yeah, Don Mancini has written every single one of them, and he did say that he wanted to do that, but they used it in a later movie, but he's so dumb though. So the blood gets into the vat of plastic, one doll gets possessed and created, and then comes and kills the CEO. Like, the guy's just like watching business reports and playing golf in his office by himself. It seems like like, I don't know, like Christmas Eve, like Scrooge, basically. And then Chucky comes out and dude, this kill scene was like 8 minutes long. It is so drawn out and slow and like him, like, throwing marbles on the ground and like,
Guards
driving.
and
Dude,
it was a penthouse and he's just like pouring himself a glass of whiskey. But the point of him killing the CEO was to find out where Andy was.
I know, no, but I'm just saying, like, the way he kills the CEO is so long and dumb. Like, you can't kill somebody with darts.
What else could be cool is if he was like, "Let's work together. I need more." Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like held him, like blackmailed him or something. I don't know.
dude, that would have been so much better. It's like, if you don't work with me, I'm gonna get, film myself and send it to CNN. Like, that would have been so much better, dude. But he just kills the CEO in the most like cartoonish ways with toys and everything. And he kills him with a yo-yo, Eric. He kills him with a
Yeah, he
yo-yo.
strangles with the yo-yo, but
Uh,
it's toy based. It's which is kind of cutesy, but yeah, it would have been cool to see him like work with the CEO in a way of like you brought me back, and like now if he dies again, it's like who's gonna bring him back? So I guess those cards are on the table now, where this is Chucky's last stance to get Andy.
Yeah, so I guess, but the lore of Chucky is he knew this voodoo incantation and he put himself into this doll when he got shot as a human, Charles Lee Ray. And then the curse apparently is the first human who sees him in this doll form, then he has to possess that body. That's the only way he can transfer his soul. It's the first person he sees. Why did that get thrown out for this one? He sees Mr. Sullivan first. He should possess him, but he kills him. And he's like, I gotta go find Andy. It's like, why Andy again? If the rules are you're a new body, then you should switch into the first person you see. I don't
Is
know. I
that
just
was
thought,
that the rule
yeah,
though?
that's why he's going after Andy. That's the whole
Well,
reason.
I think then that just stays true that it's Andy, but then they pivot to another kid for a bit. That's what trips it up.
You
But
can't do that. You can't
that
fucking do that.
agree. But I always thought that it had to be Andy, is
It
what I
did.
always thought. Yeah.
That's what it was until this movie. And then there's like, well, new body, new rules. It's like, where did you read that, Chucky? You just say it doesn't make it true. Like, so I
I got the
hated
manual
that.
from the Good Guys box, and it does not say that.
I was so mad when he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna possess this other kid now. It's like, wait, why? Andy is the whole driving force of this franchise, is you going after this kid because he's the first one to see you possess you. So you gotta possess him. And this one, they're like, yeah, whatever. It's like, okay, that really pissed me off. So
So he
yeah, this
finds this
movie,
file. He finds this file on the computer because Chucky knows how to type on a computer all of a sudden, and
right.
finds this file and knows where to ship himself to, and he ships himself to the military school. So, Alec, give a little background on the military school. How's that looking for Andy?
I mean, terrible. Yeah, he's like been bounced around from foster home to foster home. He just has to, go to this military school, and he's just like, I don't know, troubled teen. He
He's
hates
a
it.
troubled teen. He's not getting along with anyone. His like platoon leader is just not nice. He reminds me of Kevin Bacon in Animal House. And what about the other kid who does get the Chucky box that gets delivered? I mean, how young is he, and what
I
did he do?
know.
What did he do wrong?
Dude, I know. I can't remember, like, is it Ron? What the hell was that kid's name?
I couldn't tell you.
Oh wait, yeah, Ronald. So Andy befriends Cadet Ronald Tyler, an 8-year-old. He's 8 years old, okay? What he's like, well, my dad is a pilot in the military. It's like, okay, so why are you going to fucking like high school? So very weird that there's a little kid at this military school.
The only little kid, right? Like the only kid under 14, I'd say.
At least, yeah. It seemed like everybody was like in high school, and then this fucking 8-year-old's there. So yeah, so he has, Andy's got like a decent roommate. He's got like a girl that kind of has a crush on him, Kristen De Silva. And honestly, like most of the movie is just kind of like dumb military drills and arguments and like, you better drop and give me 20, like just kind of dumb shit. But the character that I thought was the most interesting, I did think the leader or whatever of the military academy, like he seemed like a genuine guy that was like trying to help people, but it was also tough. But I loved the barber.
Made this movie, hands
Yeah.
down.
Do you recognize him?
What was he in? I
Oh,
looked it up.
Eric. He's
He's
the
in
lead in Pumpkinhead 2.
yep.
He's in Hellraiser. He's the guy that gets possessed and like falls apart in Hellraiser. But he's been in a bunch, dude.
You know, he reminded me of too, and I was like, is that Viper from Top Gun for a minute? Because he looked the military thing kind of also, but I knew it wasn't him. He had that like talk and look about him. You know what I mean?
Tom Skerritt, you mean?
Yeah, Tom
Okay.
Skerritt. Yeah. But like from Top, like so that's like who he was, but like he was doing barber stuff.
Yeah, well, so yeah, Hellraiser is the thing that I've always known him from, but yeah, he's the lead in Pumpkinhead too, so hey. And also Eric, he lived in Hartford, Connecticut for a little
Pride,
while, so pride.
pride of Connecticut people, pride of Connecticut.
So he's the best. He's the barber at the military academy, and he's like obsessed with making sure every kid's head is perfectly buzzed. And I love that scene where he goes around the cafeteria and he's just like Tuesday, Wednesday,
Yeah,
and he's like
yeah.
assigning them. That was funny. Like the character was interesting and made the movie a little more enjoyable, I thought.
And he yeah, that scene was great, but like he added like what a good character and it added a lot to the movie. And I liked it.
Yeah, so he's really the only interesting character. Otherwise, it's just Chucky gets delivered to this military school for Andy, but the little kid, Ron, finds the toy.
Who
He finds,
knows about Good Guys because he saw commercials in the past and he's like kind of wants a good guy, it sounds like.
oh yeah, I mean, dude, these are probably like the hottest toys. It's like, imagine Furbies came out for like a year and then went away forever, and then all of a sudden they came back like 10 years later. Everyone's like, oh my God, I want a Furby so bad. So I guess it'd kind of be like that. But yeah, so this Ron kid, the little kid gets Chucky first and he opens the box and then he thinks, oh, this is just like a fun doll, but it's Chucky. And he's just like, yeah, like my name's Charles Lee Ray, and starts doing all the shit that we would assume he would have done with Andy in the first movie that we never saw. because the first movie's kind of like Jaws, where it's like we don't see Chucky for a while until he, the batteries are missing reveal and he's like, "Oh fuck, I kill you, bitch." Like that's the first time we see Chucky move. But in this movie, we see Chucky explaining to Ron, I can talk and walk and like, making little jokes or whatever to win the kid over, which is that
Instantly revealing himself. So
and that's
yeah.
what he would have done to Andy in the first movie, but we never got to see that. So that was kind of cool. We get to see Chucky trying to like, woo his victim, I guess. But yeah, so Andy's just, getting pushed around by everybody at the camp. But then this honestly is the best shot in the movie, I think. He's outside on some military patrol or whatever, and then all of a sudden Andy turns his head and he sees Chucky being dragged in slow motion, and the guy's like holding, like one of the superior officers is walking to go throw the doll out in the trash, and he's holding Chucky, and he's just like, and Andy like looks at him. Dude, that scene was on.
Well,
That shot was good.
there's two prep scenes before that he sees the commercial too, and he's like, these dolls are back. But then he
Right,
sees
right.
that, and then that was really cool to know that like no one knows this. I'm in military school. How I can't bring this up to anyone, but I know he's after me again.
I loved that shot. Just
Really cool, honestly.
yeah, slow motion doll, and then it's like eyes perfectly look at the camera. I was like, damn, that was sick. That was good. I'll give Child's Play 3 that shot. And that makes Andy drop his gun, and everybody's like, what's wrong with this guy? And then it just kind of turns into a little bit of a drama with Chucky kind of pretending he's a doll and Andy trying to find him. And we finally get the one scene though, which is probably the most offensive but the funniest line in the entire movie is when Chucky and Andy finally meet and they're fighting, and Chucky explains what he's doing there. And he's like, I came for you, but I'm gonna, possess Ronald now. And he's like, think about it. Chucky's gonna be a bro. And
That was pretty bad. That was pretty
oh
bad.
my God.
Yeah,
That is crazy.
that can only exist back then.
That's just like insane. And Andy's like, what the fuck? So yeah, that line is just like so offensive. It's so like weird and unnecessary. But anyway, so Chucky's he's gonna possess Ron and become a bro, as he says. And yeah, so Andy gets in a big fight with him, and then the superior officer's like, what are you doing with this doll? Like you're just beating the shit out of the doll.
They like bring him out and they smoke him, and he smokes the whole platoon because of Andy. But also, it doesn't help that Andy's roommate's also kind of like not nerdy. Yeah, he's nerdy, but like also being bullied.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think Andy met him when he was in the closet, so it doesn't help that Andy's already in bunks with some guy who's getting the shit kicked out of him, and now he just had the whole platoon smoked, and they're out there in the rain just dying, and everyone's kicking his ass and like, how dare you like play with a doll and stuff. So it's poor Andy,
I
really.
know. Like
Poor Andy.
seriously. Genuinely poor Andy. Yeah. I mean, they're like, what are you playing with dolls? Dolls are for girls. And it's just like, okay. Yeah, so yeah, Andy's getting the short end of the stick per usual. Speaking of his roommate that's getting bullied or whatever, he has one of the saddest lines in the whole movie. I can't remember if it's the barber or like the military commander guy, but he's like, you must be the most sorry excuse for a soldier that's ever come through these doors. And I was like, Jesus Christ, like that's not gonna make this guy want to do better here. Like they really kind of laid into him. So yeah, the roommate and Andy just get shit on. Like it
Yeah,
sucks.
poor roommate, poor Andy. But after they get smoked, what's next?
So Chucky's revealed himself to Andy, so Andy's all freaked out. And then this is like my least favorite part of the whole movie, but basically they're like, all right, we're gonna bring you guys out for like a paintball exercise where we're gonna split you up into blue and red teams. You're gonna go out
Whoa,
in the
whoa!
woods.
Before that, though, doesn't Chucky kill like the headmaster or whatever, the sergeant or whoever's in charge of everyone?
I can't remember if that was
But like,
before or
no,
during.
because they do the war games because he died, and it's like a way to
Oh,
honor him. So before that, like Chucky like surprises the headmaster that's just punished Andy and everything, and he just has a heart attack, and Chucky's like, "Are you kidding me?" And it's kind of like it's kind of sad, but like Chucky's like, "I didn't even get to kill him." It's like,
I know. That was kind of random. I wonder why they did that. So, yeah, the headmaster's in his office and Chucky goes to kill him and the guy just dies. He has a heart attack, falls over and smashes all of his soldiers' toys or whatever.
and he has
And
toys too, Alec. If you think of it, miniatures of toys.
okay.
There you go. But yeah, and so they decided to do these war games in his honor, red team versus blue team, very Halo, very classic.
It's
And
paintball. It's like a middle of the wood paintball warfare, which is like, yeah, I've done that, dude. It's fucking fun. It is fun, but this
we've paintballed back in the day with the spider or whatever.
oh no, dude. Remy Bourget and I, we went to Pennsylvania and did like a three
Oh
day,
man,
70.
you did like a D-Day reenactment, right?
Yeah, it was a 72-hour D-Day reenactment in this massive field with like abandoned aircrafts and like there was
And
castles. It was
you
so sick.
you were the US side, and you
Yeah,
were you were in these like bins, I remember, and you used to tell the story about how like all of a sudden they're like, all right, we're gonna open up the gates, or
yeah,
like AKA you're hitting the beach in 2 seconds, and
yeah.
they like open the gates, and immediately it was just like blotting out the sun of paintballs or something
Dude, it
like.
was like that scene in the 300. It was like the second the doors open, it was like 50 million paintballs just came at you, and yeah, it was crazy. But this kind of reminded me of that, but they never get to the fighting actually. And this is the biggest change in the movie. So Chucky loads one of the paintballs with a real gun, which I'm like, that's
I
not how
think
that
he I think
works.
he loads a lot of guns. He takes out the paint and puts live ammunition in a
That
lot of
doesn't,
guns.
that's
But
not
that's
how that
that's not how
works.
paint like with CO2 tanks and stuff. That's not how
No.
paintballs work. But hey, we're gonna roll with it. Paintball was still probably early in the world, and you could make that like no one knows. But yeah, yeah, that's
You
not how those
can't.
guns work.
No. So they basically imply that a paintball gun can actually be loaded with real guns. So yeah, so Chucky loads a bunch of them. And the thing is, they do shoot the I think it's like the guy that's been bullying Andy the whole time. He gets shot with a real gun. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, they're real." But apparently it was supposed to be everybody shoots at each other with the real guns and there's like 50 people that
That's what
die.
I thought was gonna happen, but that's another budget thing.
It was budget, but it was also just like you don't want to see like 50, 16-year-olds shooting each other. I don't know. Like even in the
That that
90s.
that and also once that happens, like it's like, all right, war games is over. Like someone just died. Like you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So that puts a whole sour taste on this whole experience. And Andy and his, kind of girlfriend De Silva, they go off in the woods and they see this carnival, this big carnival, and they're like, wow, like that I forgot like places like that even existed. And they go there with Ron and Chucky follows them. So it's the three of them at this carnival, and Chucky's there and they go into like a fun house. And Chucky and the kid and De Silva. Oh no, De Silva gets like shot, right? She gets like hit in like the knee, and they're like, "Don't worry, like you stay here. Like
Pretty
I'll
much.
go
And
take it."
she's such a wasted character, honestly. But
I know. I will say though, she's pretty cool. She could do a one-handed push-up after doing 25 regular push-ups. That was pretty cool. I don't think I could
that
do
that's
that.
pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Also, did you recognize that actress?
And, no.
It's Will Ferrell's wife from Old School.
Oh, where he's like, "Can we get KFC, honey?"
Yeah, the blowjob. She's also Ari Gold's wife in Entourage, but
That's so random. I love it.
anyways, I recognized her pretty quick, yeah. But yeah, so then they have this big fight scene after De Silva's like, she's out for the count, and it's just Andy and Ron, and they're having this big fight with Chucky. But Chucky gets like half his face sliced off by like, this would never be at a carnival, like that the Grim Reaper, his scythe or something.
But
That
like, yeah,
that would
dude, that would not be
never.
sharp.
No, they would never be so sharp he could cut someone's fucking head off or whatever. Like, so this place is not up to regulation. This looks like one of those
Oh,
carnivals
dude,
that,
have you
like,
been to those carnivals where
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like held down by like a couple cinder blocks and like a bag of sand? Like
Oh,
those rides are not safe.
they're like these rides were just on the freeway 2 hours ago, and now they're now they're being loaded up into a field somewhere. Yeah. So then, yeah, we just get the big final fight scene. I'm like having trouble remembering exactly what happened besides Chucky's face getting cut off, and then I know he gets pushed into the fan, but there's got to be some psych
Before
out,
that,
right?
it's funny. This movie's such a fever dream. I haven't seen this in 25 years. I have seen this on television, but the scene I remember the most is when Chucky throws the grenade and the nerdy kid that you just said wasn't
Right,
going to be a good soldier, and he's like, "You're a disgrace." He's the one that jumps on the grenade, and that poor guy died
right.
saving everyone and jumping on a grenade. It's like, but that like when we said Child's Play 3, that's literally the only scene I remember from this movie.
Yeah, I don't remember much either, but you're right. I forgot about that kid. Yeah, he sacrifices himself. So it's like, damn, man. We don't get like a post-credit scene where they're like, we give the Purple Heart to this guy for sacrificing. Like,
Dedicated to the nerd in the
yeah.
platoon.
Because I mean, dude, nobody's death in this movie seems like Chucky did it, aside from the barber. He slices the barber's throat randomly, but everybody else's
Even the
death.
dump truck guy. Remember the
Oh
garbage
yeah.
guy? Like
Oh
that
yeah.
happened where the guy hurt a kid in the back and he throws Chucky in the back of the garbage truck and he thinks there's a kid back there, but it's Chucky. And then is that what the inside of a garbage truck looks like? Because holy shit, that's scary.
Also, don't get in the truck. Just be like, "Hey, buddy, I'm right here. Like, let me see you or whatever." He's like going in, like ripping spaghetti out of the.
Stop the machine and say, "Come on out, bud." Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Chucky tricks this guy. We forgot to mention this earlier in the movie. Chucky tricks the garbage man, and the garbage man goes into his own truck, and then Chucky shuts it and yeah, kills the guy.
but
So
like you just said, that could have been an accident. So no
yeah,
one still knows that Chucky is at the cause of all this.
except for the barber. Yeah, they're gonna be like, "All
Which
right, who
like it's
who
like oh
slit
well,
this guy's
it's
throat?"
like the barber was crazy. Maybe he slit his own throat. Like
Oh my God. Chucky then is pushed into this huge fan and he's cut into a million pieces and it's kind of how it ends. I mean, it's really lame. They just like cut back to the school and I think it was just like everybody walking around the school like in military form. Am I right? Like that's how it ended. He just gets killed.
pretty much. And like we said, this is an hour and a half movie exactly. It's not a long movie. So yeah, that's just the pace of it.
Well, I
Yeah.
do like because in parts one, two, and three, his body gets absolutely destroyed, and they have to figure out a way to bring him back, some crazy way, like in this one with the plastic and the blood. But in the fourth one, you know how Chucky looks like crazy, like he's got like all these stitches in his face, and he's got like a
It's
leather
because they
belt.
sewed him back together.
Yeah, dude, they got his pieces and they sewed him back together.
Yeah,
So
that's really dumb.
yeah,
But
dude,
I love
well,
it. I
dude,
love
Bride of
it.
Chucky is way better than this one. So.
We'll do that soon.
We
We'll do that
should.
soon.
It's much better. So this one, I think one and two are very solid, and this one takes a big nosedive, and then it does come back. Four is really good, five's a little weird, and I think six and seven are awesome. So yeah, I mean overall, yeah, not my favorite Chucky movie.
I give it the audience score of like, yeah, it's a 50%. Like
Ooh, yeah.
I would say like I like it. It was good, but like it's not good. And the director, like we said, is like, yeah, I crap this movie out pretty much. Is what the director has said in interviews and stuff. I was watching a bunch of stuff. Don't forget the one-liners too, like don't F with the C. Remember that? When he's like, don't fuck with the Chuck. I was like, ooh, he's still got the lines. He's got the
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah, he had a couple decent ones, but yeah, I don't know. It was just getting tired, I guess, at this point. They needed to shake it up, and Bride of Chucky's a great way to just totally go in a different direction.
Reinvent it, make it fun, and make it just wild. So yeah,
Yeah.
and that was around when we were kids
Oh yeah.
more.
I remember that one very well, being on TV constantly and
And
yeah,
who did they
so
get to voice the bride? What's her name too?
oh, it's
Who's
Jennifer Tilly.
she's huge, and it's
Yeah.
like that's such a perfect casting, perfect voice for someone who would be Chucky's bride. It's
Yeah.
insane.
I know. No, she's great. So, anyways, we will continue the Chucky franchise very soon, and we'll get the whole series done. Maybe even go into the TV series. Who knows? But are you starting? I mean, this is the worst one to be like, are you starting to come around to it? But you're liking Chucky. Come
I
on.
honestly like the first one I know I was like it's not for me, man. But the second one I was like I get it and I like it. And the second one really brought me back into like okay, I kind of want to finish the franchise. But also what other one did we watch? It was like a further out. It was the sixth one you said?
Yeah, yeah,
I actually like that one too. So this one is it would yeah, if this was the second one I'd be like I don't know why people like Chucky movies.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's true. They had a good one. First two were really good, and then but they pick it back up. It doesn't turn into Jaws. The fourth one's actually good. So, anyways,
Jaws the Revenge. Which we
yeah.
should do Jaws the Revenge at some point and just
Oh, 100%.
maybe let's tweet it out to Michael Caine. Maybe we can bring Michael Caine on Jaws the Revenge and he'd be like, I don't want to talk about this movie. It's like, Michael, like, come on,
He'll do it.
now's the time.
He needs to work.
All
All
right,
right. Well, what do you say spin the wheel, Avery?
let's freaking spin the wheel. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Second spin of the series. Spinning. Nosferatu 2024.
Perfect. All right, cool. That's going to be Joe, Testa, and I. We're going to be covering that because Eric, I don't think you've had a chance to go see it in the
I got no
theaters yet,
time.
right?
I got no time. I
You
got
got
no
no
time.
dick.
I got no dick. I got no time. No dick, no time.
All right. Well, that'll be Joe and I, and then yeah. So then we'll be back with Eric the following week. But everybody, thank you so much for listening into our discussion on Child's Play 3, and we will see you next week with Nosferatu 2024.